Why, hello, ladies, and Happy New Year. It is a brand new year. Sadly, guys, not a brand new podcast. Same thing, same crazy gals, all sitting around chatting about football. We got Beth in the house, Dr. Beth, physical therapist. We got Cheri, our favorite lady of Bucks football. And of course, your girl, Coach Dezi. We're chatting all things football. We missed a week. I was gone in Canada, which, by the way, I was going to go. Hi. I was going to try to do the pod, but Canada, because of licensing issues, like we couldn't even watch football because we couldn't get like YouTube. There's like certain licensing problems, so you can't watch certain channels. You can't even get access. So there was a no-go for our podcast the week of Christmas. So we have a lot to cover. But first of all,
But did you have a wonderful time in Canada?
It was fantastic. The food, the drinks. There wasn't as much snow, but no one got hurt. So I got off the bunny hill. Your girl's off the bunny hill.
Yay!
So it was good though. Like I think it was just what the doctor ordered, so to speak. It was a good time. So.
It's good you had some snow. There was no snow in Buffalo. It was sunny and 55 degrees on Christmas, and then it was rainy the rest of the week. But it was,
oh my goodness,
very warm.
Yeah. So the joke is every time, so we have friends in Buffalo. We flew to Buffalo and then drove together from Buffalo to Quebec. And so the joke is every time we go to visit this family in Buffalo, we bring the heat. Like there's never ever snow when we go to Buffalo. So the joke is that we bring it from Florida. So anyway, we were up there. Luckily we were in Buffalo to watch the 49ers Ravens game. And then we were actually on the drive back. So I was watching the 49ers Commanders game on my phone on the way back. So
was it lucky that you got to watch the 49ers Baltimore game?
There it is. She just went right to it.
Sorry, you brought it up.
So for those who don't know, my husband's a Ravens fan. I'm a diehard 49er fan, actually, just so that everyone can see. Well, I've got this weird background thing, but diehard. Like we almost didn't make it through the Super Bowl several years ago. And I still cannot bring myself to the fact that we cannot beat the Ravens. Credit to Lamar. So I'm in a house that's full of Buffalo fans. Allegedly, they were like, okay, we've got to cheer for the 49ers because we want the Ravens to lose. And then it went left real quick. And it was not enjoyable. My Christmas was very humbled very quick. So Lamar was amazing. I mean, up until then, I was Brock Purdy, CMC, all MVP. You guys know that. We've talked about that on here.
Yeah. I know.
Lamar did his thing. I mean, he really did. And
they're a force to be reckoned with, for sure.
They are. And honestly, that whole division we struggled with. We didn't beat the Browns. We didn't beat the Bengals. We didn't beat Baltimore. Like that division is tough. And all credit to them. I mean, it's been a fight within that division all year. So yeah. The thing that bothered me though was before the game. So I'm with my friends and they're like, oh, Josh Allen deserves MVP. And I was like, they're like, yeah, Brock Purdy. Like I was fine until they started bringing Brock Purdy into it. And then I was like, they're like, oh, Josh Allen has the number one QBR. I'm like, sorry to break your heart, darling, but that belongs to Brock. And this was before the game, of course. And they fought me on it. And finally, my husband was like, no, she's right. And I brought it up and showed it to them. And oh, well, he has the most touchdowns in the NFL. I'm like, yes, that is correct. He has the most touchdowns in the NFL. So, and it was tough because I do support the Bills. I love the Bills in the AFC. So it was like, back up off me, man. Back up off me. So anyway, to answer your question, it was a tough day. Credit to Lamar. I mean, really, I could have gone to bed early. I didn't. I stayed to suffer till the end. So that was it. How was your guys' Christmas?
We were in Buffalo. So we got to watch, I don't even remember what game it was. There was so much football on. Oh, it was, we played the Chargers. Yeah. It was really close.
Yes.
And I may have cursed out Cheri on our separate thread because she happened to say that Buffalo was going to win that game definitively.
I know. I did such. I mean, it was such a boo boo. I was trying to be so supportive, and I was like, yeah. And I'm watching the game, and I'm like, yes, Beth. And then it was like, was that the play that was called back? And I was like, oh God, Beth, I'm so sorry. Okay, Beth, I'm gonna. Okay. And then I did another one similar to that. I'm like, yes, you won. And then I was like, oh God, Beth.
Oh no, we didn't. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna stop talking.
So, but now you understand.
Yeah, and then I did stop talking, and at the end of the game, I was like, "Hey, are we okay now?"
Well, and it was funny because I was talking to my sister. So we're sitting there watching the game, and we start off sitting, and we're watching the game. And then, you get to the fourth quarter, and then there's no timeout and there's no commercial breaks. And I'm sorry, Buffalo fans need commercial breaks to take a breath. We can't watch nonstop. It doesn't go well for our psyche. And so by the time we're hitting the fourth quarter, I'm Amazon shopping on my phone. My sister's cleaning. We're pacing around the house. Nobody's watching. We're all watching the game, but we're all doing multiple things at the same time because we can't. Our anxiety is so high that we can't sit still to actually watch the end of the game. And it was so funny. And it was, Cheri, don't say anything about the Bills ever again.
I was literally here I was trying to throw support. And then I'm like, oh, I did the wrong thing. Ooh, I did the wrong thing again. Ooh, I'm just going to shut up now. That's my lessons learned is just congratulate at the end or be supportive at the end, but during I'm just going to be like,
it's because, and I still stand by the fact that it's because you said during the last podcast that you were going to say it for me that Buffalo was going to win, and the second you said that, there we go.
Nice. Yeah, but you did. You pulled out the W.
But you did.
We did, and then we pulled out the W the following week. Again, I don't know how, but you know what?
While I was texting you this stuff, so I don't know. Maybe me throwing you into a complete dizzy is the magic formula.
Perfect. My husband's gonna be super excited to hear that.
Nice. So
it's only weird if it doesn't work, man.
Right. True.
What about Cheri, your Bucks? They are.
What about them?
I mean,
I was there.
We're talking about week 17 or week 16 first, and then week 16.
I'm not sure if it's me or my husband. Speaking of, it's only weird if it doesn't work. Not sure which one of us is the bad luck for the Bucks, but it is one of us because I was at the game. I think it's I was at the game. On New Year's Eve with my parents. Brian and I went. And that was horrific. It was just horrific. It's come on, guys. We're trying to justify a playoff spot. We're at the top of our division. We're battling against a still alive New Orleans Saints and Atlanta Falcons. And we play the Saints at home. And you would have thought we were playing in snow or something completely, you know how Tampa, they always make fun of Tampa traveling to snow places to play because we're not used to it. That's what it looked like. Only it was a perfectly gorgeous, sunny, wonderful day. To me, the Bucks looked like we were playing in the snow. That's how I can describe it.
Well,
tough loss at home.
Yeah.
Very. I mean, but the weirdest shit is we're still top of the division. So
so cheers to that. I think we're all headed to the playoffs. Yes. Niners.
We don't know yet.
We're not for sure.
Well,
you're headed to the playoffs. The rest of us are not guaranteed yet.
I mean, it's good to be number one.
Don't talk, Dezi. You heard how I felt about Cheri. Don't make me blacklist you too.
She's gonna. No, actually, Beth's gonna sick me on you. She's gonna be like, "Can you text Dezi?"
No, the problem is that we're now facing 2 weeks of rest, and I'm having a little bit of a problem with that. So we're number one in our division. We locked it down. So the talk is, obviously Christian McCaffrey got an injury in this last game against the Commanders. He's got a calf strain. He's got essentially 3 weeks to heal this baby before we're playing our first game in the playoffs. So I'm not too concerned about him. We do have a lot of injuries in our backfield on defense. Jair Brown is out. We have Ambry Thomas, who now says he has a hand fracture. He played with kind of a splint on his hand / cast, club, whatever you want to call it. I tried to relook at it to see specifically what it was, because I was like thinking it was going to be like an ulnar gutter, Beth, thinking maybe it was like a boxer's fracture, maybe a metacarpal fracture of the 4th or 5th. But it looked like it kind of came over the thumb. It looked like maybe it was more like a thumb spica. Essentially, he really wasn't able to tackle because of that. I didn't see a lot of grip happening in the thumb, so I am a little concerned about that. He was slated to have surgery this week. We're looking forward to seeing what that comes. What they're saying, though, he'll have surgery and he's able to even come back for this game this week, obviously splinted or whatever. But the question is it more like a phalanx fracture where maybe it needs a pin, or it needs a plate, screws, or what is the actual injury? We're really unclear about that.
So they're going to keep that under wraps as long as they can, if they can. So
which they should. And again, fortunately, this is a game that we don't have to win. We can put our second stringers out there. I think I just saw Brock Purdy is expected to be sitting out. They're Matthew Stafford, we're playing the Rams this week. He's out. I think it's Wentz. Carson Wentz is going to be playing. So it's like preseason game feeling. But I did want to ask you, Beth, because I was asked this earlier on Eric Crocker's podcast. What are your thoughts about, is there too much rest? Is there such a thing as too much rest? Could that be harmful to rest too much? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think physically there's an issue with too much rest, because we're talking about 2 weeks. It's not like they're not practicing and doing run-throughs. And with a lot of sports, you taper before a big event anyway. I think it's more of the mental game. If, your mental edge and mental sharpness, I think, might take more of a hit than necessarily any physical ramifications. If your head's not fully in it, those injuries come more so from a mental perspective, at least in my opinion, I would think.
Yeah. My response
I don't know, your thoughts?
So Eric used to play in the NFL, right? So my question to him was, what does it look like at practice in the middle of the season, or even, regular season, midweek? What does that practice look like? And he said that, it's really kind of more their mental game, right? They're trying to figure out strategy and working through game plans and routes and things like that, and trying to prepare for whoever they're going up against that week. It's not a whole lot of pads and physical issues during practice. So, and same thing, I was like, physically, you can do training and things on the side to keep sharp from a physical perspective, but really you can't substitute in-game action, right? So someone's, pushing up against you, you have that reactionary, from a physical standpoint, the reaction of someone hitting you, you're reacting back, right? So you do miss that. You don't get that terribly much in training. So that part, but it keeps you fresh. Like you said, it's going through reps. It's getting the opportunity to figure things out and stay sharp. And that's exactly kind of what I said. As a dancer, I actually compared it, I can learn choreography and not do it for 2 weeks and then go and perform that choreography. But there's little details I may miss, right? Where my hand placement is, exactly what angle I'm supposed to be on, like the sharpness of the performance could be lacking because of that 2-week lag. So that's kind of what I'm, wrestling around with. Who do we sit? Who do we play? My response was sit the players that are more likely to be injured. Like Deebo Samuel he's an awesome player. He's one of our workhorses, one of the pillars of our offense, but he tends to get soft tissue injuries. So I would like for him to maybe have less reps or sit him, if you're sitting Trent Williams, definitely sit Brock Purdy. I don't want him.
Like, let's keep him safe.
Let's make sure the protection's out there. So, I mean, that I really was interested in getting your thoughts on that, though, because of your background and your training.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, I think it's more of a mental game that you need to. It was interesting what you said about the contact and the pressure points and all that of actually being in a game and maybe that heightened sense of adrenaline that might you miss out on.
Yeah.
But I also think that, I don't know, I mean, you think from a safety standpoint, sometimes that's, you've already done it how many times this season? Do you really need
Right.
one more to make yourself prepared for it? Like, you're being paid a lot of money to be able to be on point when it's time to be on point. So take those extra couple days and enjoy them.
Yeah, that's always been kind of the longstanding discussion, right? Remember, like Super Bowl, I remember certain Super Bowls when I was growing up, they talked about the big 2-week break before the Super Bowl, right? Like, is that too long of a break between game to game action? I just remember that being a thing.
Well, then maybe that needs to be something different in training, and they need to approach a 2-week break from a different standpoint, from in a training stand, in the training capacity than necessarily, because you train all preseason, right? So I don't know. Maybe they need to look at those 2 weeks having different training parameters than necessarily.
I have a bigger question to add to this, because I feel like all we're talking about, and I just said before we went live, I did not want to talk about college football, but
here we are.
Like, making my head, here we are, because we're talking about injuries, right? And like, maybe it's just because of talking to you guys this season, but I feel like I'm overwhelmed with like injuries all over. What can we do to reduce player injuries? Why are there, so many injuries? So I feel like, okay, what is different now than before? Because I feel like this is it just, I don't know. I know we've had the turf debate versus natural grass. Like, we've had debates about a lot of things, but what is different? Is it just me? Is it my perception? I'm seeing so many injuries, and injuries making so much more of an effect on the game based on, in my case, one star player being, an entire team saying, well, we're no longer relevant, being Florida State, because our quarterback is injured. But all I feel like is injuries this season. Is there more injuries this season? Is there more coverage of it? Or is this just my personal experience season?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So I definitely think that you're seeing it more because we're talking about it more, right? Like, I think that's part of it. I think the injuries that we are seeing might be, and Dezi, correct me at any point in time, but I do feel like some of them are more career-altering injuries than we've seen in the past. Like, we talk about the smaller injuries too, but we've had a lot of big career-ending, career-changing injuries this season. And my opinion as to why is, one, the turf versus natural grass. But I also think it's coming with the territory. These guys are getting bigger and stronger and faster. So you're no longer having a guy 250 toddling at you because he's 250 and just trying to get to you. Now he's running sprint pace, at you, right? So you're got more velocity,
you're not having
more
the quarterbacks, and the quarterbacks are facing bigger people. The quarterbacks back in legendary days, did they face the same? Yeah, I mean,
your offensive line was not the same size as your offensive line is now,
and your quarterbacks weren't that old.
Yeah, I mean, quarterbacks are living a long time right now. They're hanging a long time.
Like Aaron Rodgers, late 30s, right? Like,
he's not. No, he is not. He is in his 40s.
No, he's 38. I don't think he's 40 yet. Is he?
I think he's 40.
Is he?
I believe he's 41.
Yeah. I would agree.
I mean, we could get to him right now.
40 as of December 2nd. He turned 40 this year.
Happy birthday, Aaron.
All right. We weren't going to talk about him either. And alas, here we are.
Oh,
but yeah. And so Cheri, to your point, overall, I think the injuries have been the same. I mean, my 49ers were so banged up last year. I mean, look at just our quarterbacks last year alone, right? 2 of them needed surgery. 1 of them needed 2 surgeries. I mean, it was a rough, actually 3 of them needed surgeries because Brock's injury ended up needing surgery. So, I mean, that's tremendous, right? So, but this year, I think we've had a lot more Achilles tendon injuries than I've ever seen, right? Like, and again, back to Beth's point, like turf versus grass. I mean, I don't want to wear this out. It's out there. It's up to the owners to make.
Well, I mean, obviously the most famous one was Aaron Rodgers on game 1, right, on turf. Like that's the most. So maybe we're paying it. Maybe I'm hearing about it more because of that. I don't know. It just feels like, yeah, like you said,
I think there were more Achilles injuries this year. I think there were more Achilles injuries. I'm not sure. Like, I don't have the stats, and I'm just talking out of the side of my head. But I feel like there were more Achilles injuries this year, and they were kind of clustered early on in the season, which also made it much more obvious. But and we talk about this too. Like we were talking about the training, and like you were saying, what are we doing different in training? What needs to change in training? Maybe we need more animal movements. Maybe we need more.
Oh, I know a couple people watching right now, and just to update you, I'm a physician assistant. I've worked in orthopedics. I've been in the OR. I've worked in the emergency room. Beth is a doctorate of physical therapy. And Cheri is she's awesome. So,
I'm a fan.
she helps ask questions that I think the general public would ask as well. But if you have any questions, I posted the link on our YouTube page. You're welcome to join in the conversation if you have specific questions. We do talk a lot about injuries, but we also do a lot of BSing and talking about stuff in general. Last episode, we talked about Christian McCaffrey's training program and how it came out that he does these animal movements, and we talked about how that's really benefited him. So that's where Cheri's joke came in, was we need more animal
And if
movements.
you didn't see me, I was doing almost like a cat-like jaguar and the swoosh, where you're like bendy on the back and that's what I think of animal movements, like slow motion, bendy. Yeah.
Well, very good. So, all right. So we've got the next thing I think we were going to chat about. I wanted to show you guys. I'll show you guys something here in a second. I really wanted to. I was impressed with what Deebo Samuel wore to the game this past week. But before we get to that, let's chat about this upcoming games. So, Beth, Bills at Miami.
It's everything. It's everything. It's for everything.
All right.
For bragging rights in the division, and it's at night, so it's not going to be in 100 degrees Miami heat, which I think is going to be great for Buffalo. Man. I think we've got, if Josh Allen can heal up that shoulder and his neck a little bit, he doesn't have that stinger anymore. Hopefully we can play some real Bills football.
Yes. If the Bills win, they will clinch the AFC East title.
Correct.
If they don't, the Pittsburgh has to lose or tie, or Jacksonville has to lose or tie, or the Houston-Indianapolis game has to end in a tie. So there's a lot of ifs if they don't. So the easiest thing would be just to win, right?
Win and in. I mean, I'm going to point out.
But it would be good if we won. But there's no guarantee.
I'm also going to point out that there was this particular Saturday night I was watching our Florida State game, and we were chanting, "We win, we're in. We win, we're in. We're undefeated, we're in." And that didn't happen, so I'll never say anything's a clinch. But just like you, Beth, Tampa Bay is winning in, supposedly.
We've both got a football game to play this weekend, I hear. We should try and win those games.
That would be
amazing. But
we're gonna get.
Dezi,
we're going game by game.
Rarely at a loss for words, and I'm literally texting Beth and like, "Yay! Just saw that!" And like, shit, saw that taken back. Oh shit. Oh, yay, we won. Oh my god, saw that. Oh god. So I'm like, I am literally the worst. I don't know. So I'm gonna communicate with everybody after.
I'm honestly sad I missed it because I was totally off the grid in Canada. So I came back and saw some of it here or there, but oh, somebody's asking a question. What are the Dolphins implications? So Dolphins, what's at stake? Miami will clinch the AFC East title with a win or a tie. So that is where the Dolphins are at this present moment.
So wait a second. So hold on, go back to the Bills scenario, Beth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Is this?
So this is for the AFC title.
Okay, gotcha.
So Bills win, they win the AFC East. If Miami wins, they win the AFC East. If there's a tie,
wow,
Miami wins the title.
Gotta win, dude.
So, but if the Bills lose, they could still get in with a Pittsburgh loss or tie, or Jacksonville loss or tie, or the Houston Indianapolis game ends in a tie. So there's other ways for the Bills to get in.
If Miami loses, they have other ways to get into to the
with
wild
card.
Well. Yeah.
All right. So let's go.
I don't know if they automatically get a wild card. Do we know?
It doesn't say that on here because I have the whole thing up showing who's in, what's at stake, how to win. It doesn't give anything else. It just says if Miami will clinch with a win or a tie. So
I think we're in the week where it's like it's so many confusing scenarios. Like the only thing I know for sure, Dezi or 49ers have clinched. For Beth and I, if we win, we're in.
Yes,
if we don't win, we have
lots of other things
scenarios that can play. But what we would really like is just to go ahead and win. I think we deserve it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean our teams. I mean Beth and I.
Yes. I would agree with you on that.
Okay, so for the Bucks, what's at stake? Tampa Bay clinches the NFC South title with a win. Yep. Or they can tie, but New Orleans would need to lose or tie.
Correct. So we're in with a win or a New Orleans loss.
Right, but you can also clinch if Tampa Bay ties plus Seattle loses plus Green Bay loses. So it's just so much.
It's so many. Like let's win.
Let's just get the win. It's just so much
win.
Easier.
So if Miami loses, their round one opponent will be the Chiefs.
There you go.
Would Miami get into the?
They're going to make the playoffs either way. It's just whether
they're clinched playoffs.
AFC, whether they win AFC East or not.
It's replacement.
Nice.
But we have to win. If we don't win, other things have to happen for us to get into wild card.
You know what? That'd be crazy, right? Like if you guys win and then you end up having to play Kansas City. I'm here for that game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for that game.
Do we have home field advantage against Kansas City?
Right now it looks like Kansas, but I mean,
But we beat Kansas City.
Right. That's why I'm not. It just looks like it on here. It doesn't really say who's playing where, but I would think that you guys would get that, which I would like to see anyway. Right. That'd be cool.
Yes.
Okay. I like how this is shaping up here. On the NFC
Can we talk about the? Oh, I was gonna say, can we talk about the Brown, please?
Yes. So okay.
Just yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Cleveland because Cleveland, I'm loving this. So
I know.
I'm loving this. You guys already know where I'm going. So my husband's a big Ravens fan. So I'm loving it and not loving it because the 49ers have not done well with anyone in that division. So we lost to the Bengals, we lost to the Ravens, we lost to the Browns. But the Browns have had this incredible resurgence with no one other than Joe Flacco. Like,
I know, who would have thought? I love it.
They're like,
what a great turn of events.
Such a great turn of events. I mean, their organization is screwed with how much money they paid Deshaun Watson to sit the bench, but I like the Browns now that Flacco is covering. I love this scenario. I would love this scenario if they actually ended up playing the Ravens in the playoffs. That could be crazy.
So what is their schedule? So they're behind, but they're 11-5 team, man. They're second AFC North.
How did that happen?
Joe Flacco.
Watson's out.
It's awesome. I mean, that would be quite the game to watch and quite the fan base to follow that game.
They would no longer be the factory of sadness.
Exactly.
Well, they could be if they play Baltimore.
Yeah, but they'd still make the playoffs. I think that's pretty huge. Which, by the way,
well, they made the playoffs. They're in the playoffs,
right? But
the Browns made the playoffs,
right? That's what I'm saying. Like they're already in. Like that's
right. But if they lose the team that stole their team, it's not going to go well.
They even forgot that layer of it. That's amazing. Good call. Yeah, but they're not
that layer of it
because they made the playoffs, right? Like you make the playoffs, you can't be the factory of sadness. You made the playoffs.
Listen,
until you lose to the team that stole your team.
All I am saying, this is my entire position on it, is they got there without Deshaun Watson, thankfully, because if Deshaun Watson was playing, I'd be like, please go, like Panthers type of win-loss record. Without Deshaun Watson and Joe Flacco at the helm, go Browns.
All right.
I appreciate that because I'm happy for the Browns.
I'm happy for the Browns too. I do. They're a fantastic team. I mean, watching them when we played against them, I had a lot of respect for them. They really their defense is just
Detroit, the Browns, the Bills. Just get the Rust Belt in there, man.
Yeah, how about Detroit?
Oh, Detroit. Yeah, man. First in NFC North. Come on, dude.
Yes.
The Lions. I've been saying that I love an underdog. They're not an underdog anymore, but I love it.
You know what's interesting? Someone made fun of Dan Campbell's teeth. I didn't realize how much he dips. I guess his teeth, like someone said, they look like meth teeth, and I was like, "What?"
Oh my God.
Now I need to Google
terrible.
This. Thank you.
I
Thank you for that.
No. Oh my God.
Can I do this on my work computer, or is it gonna come out terrible? The repercussions.
All right, so now I'm going to show you guys what taking this off because I want to see. I need you guys to see this in all its glory. I'm going to show you what Debo wore to this last game. Can you see my screen?
Yes, now.
That's Debo.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his Brock Purdy vest on, custom made, number 13. It says MVP all over it. So, after getting killed by the Ravens, he shows up supporting his QB. And it's kind of fly. I really want that. But you know what's even better? You know who made that?
Mm-mm.
Kristen Juszczyk. So Kyle Juszczyk is our fullback who used to play for the Baltimore Ravens, but he's on our team. And so his wife, I've been following her on Instagram, and her creations are phenomenal. She really makes a lot of beautiful custom pieces. And so I'm really happy. Shout out to her because I love women doing amazing things. And I really want her to just explode. I want her products out there. I would love to, buy something. I've looked at her stuff. It's expensive. It's worth it though. So I say that maybe one day.
A quick shout out in case you need somebody to.
Yeah. If there's anybody ready
advertise.
No, I'm thinking if she can get it in a manufactured situation where maybe it lowers the cost just a bit. So, maybe I can.
And maybe she could make some Bills gear, some Tampa Bay gear, expand her line.
Right. How cute is that? You would rock one that said,
absolutely.
Josh Allen.
I sure would.
A little 14.
Oh my God! Did you see what I wore to the Bucks game Sunday? I'll rock anything that's got Bucks on it.
I didn't.
I didn't. Do you have a picture?
No. What'd you wear?
I've got leggings. Actually, my sister gave me. They kind of look like, everybody asks if they're Cincinnati Bengals leggings, but they have Bucks all over them.
Oh, they're like
I had
Zumbos.
Yeah, I had my tiger stripe Bucks on.
I
I
like
actually got
it.
to wear a sweatshirt, but like I had my Bucks sneakers, I had my Bucks Bengal stripes. I say go all wild.
Was
for
it
game
creamsicle?
day. Like,
was it the creamsicle?
no, red and orange. Well, it was a little bit of creamsicle, not creamsicle, just more red and orange. But like, anyway, my point is go wild, man. I saw so many of the cutest outfits. Like you see all the things at the game, the fringe, the sparkles, I love how everybody dresses for game day. And my thing is, if it's you're supporting your team, your teammate, and you're in game day attire, anything goes.
Yes. Love it.
Be
Okay,
bold,
so let's
be sparkly.
There, from the words of Cheri, be bold and sparkly. I love it. All right, so let's look at the games coming up, because Baltimore has locked in the #1 seed for the AFC. However, they're playing the Steelers, and the Steelers are in a situation where they have to win, and Buffalo has to lose, or they have to win, plus Jacksonville has to lose or tie. They have to win, or Houston and Indianapolis have to tie, or Pittsburgh has to tie, plus Jacksonville lost, blah, blah, blah. We won't even go down that road. That's a lot. So it's a kind of a must-win situation for Pittsburgh. They're kind of, the Ravens are in the same situation as the 49ers in that, do you really want to rest players? This is when people can get injured, right? These teams that are like trying to get into the playoffs, they know it's their last-ditch effort to get in, and it can get a little bit brutal. So, what do you guys think about this game? Ravens.
I was just gonna ask, what, like, does that, and it's maybe going too far down the rabbit hole, but what implications for the Ravens is there if they sit their players and they lose to the Steelers? Like, does that change playoff trajectory for them of who they might play coming up? Right, they're in the playoffs, but does that change who they play?
Oh,
like looking 2 games down the road, right? So like, what does that look for them if they lose and Pittsburgh gets in? What does that game look like then down the road? Like, I would be looking 2-3 games down the road to see if it would benefit
see what you're
us.
saying, but if I'm not mistaken, it's a wash.
It's a wash.
Meaning,
it doesn't matter for them.
I think they've clinched. Have the Ravens clinched AFC North? Yes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think I don't think there's an implication, but I'm not positive. I don't think so. I believe this is the week. This is why fantasy football ends well before this week, because there's too many scenarios where, sometimes, let's talk about on the other side, some teams maybe just like, well, if we lose, we get a higher draft pick. So there's so many game that's not related to, it's more strategy playing in the last couple of weeks. I'd be shocked if there was a scenario that they had to play players. So I don't know. I don't think that game's going to mean a lot to the Ravens.
No, it doesn't. So it's just a matter of protection. And the same scenario, like, is too much rest too much? Is that a thing?
So then you get into strategery.
All right. So who do you guys think are going to win that game then? Would you say that?
I guess it doesn't, I don't think it matters. I think if it
matters to the Steelers. So that's the question.
Well,
are the Steelers good enough to beat the Ravens even if the Ravens don't care? I don't really know.
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, because the Ravens are a whole nother level right now. So even with them not playing their starters. I don't know.
I think this
I'm
is like
gonna say Ravens,
too
even
fluffy.
with it is. I don't know if the Steelers can pull it off right now.
You think they want to have the momentum probably going in, like they want to keep up the momentum. They want to, like, a loss
Even
might get
if
into
they
their
play, I don't
brains.
know if the Steelers have it in them to beat the Ravens, whether they're playing their first string or not right now. Because the Steelers haven't been as hot as I would have thought they would have been at this stage in the game.
Well, they're finally doing some things with a different quarterback now at the helm, so they've been starting to make some things happen. I think they could do it. They could pull it off. Again, because the Ravens may sit some players that, I know Zay Flowers has
Big
been a little bit
playmakers.
banged up. Yeah. So the other game,
but then there are some teams that their B team comes out and does better than with their A team, like the Cleveland Browns with Joe Flacco.
coming off the couch, man. They're talking about, like, have you seen the memes talking about how like it's him and DeMar Hamlin, and it's like DeMar literally came back from death, and they were like, yeah, but the Cleveland Browns are literally just so wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. This is an intriguing game. So for the AFC South, we've got Texans Colts. That's probably the game that most people are going to be watching, if I had to guess, unless they really just don't care about that game. But whoever wins that game clinches the AFC South title. So that's going to be a game to watch. CJ Stroud is back in action, doing his thing. What do you guys think?
I don't watch that a whole lot. I don't follow them as much as I probably should. I love me some CJ Strouds. If he's feeling well, I think they have a good shot. How about that?
I agree. I mean, if you guys recall, beginning of the year, I said I got my eye on D'Amico's team. I've got to go with it just because I had said it. So I'm going to be cheering for the Texans for sure. Okay, moving right along. All right, we got Bucks Panthers in Carolina.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping is with Carolina being
they are
the record.
Look at you learning. Look at you learning to use the right language. Continue.
Being the record of, I believe it's 2-14. Even though the Bucks were really hard to watch at home this past weekend, I feel like the Panthers have a much better strategy of losing this game and getting a better draft pick than doing anything to win it. And the Bucks have a very strong reason for winning. I was just looking at the percentages, and if we win, we're in. But if we lose, it's a very, very small probability of like getting in. So for us, it's a win, and I for Carolina, it's a win if they lose, right?
This is the best possible
maybe for
scenario.
their coach. It's maybe for their coach.
It's the best possible scenario for you guys. So good chances. Good chances. Yeah. We got Jets, Patriots, meh. Vikings, Lions. Let me see. What is that? I don't think that's Vikings need to, if they have to, the Vikings can clinch if they win, plus Green Bay loses, plus Seattle loses, plus Tampa Bay loses. I don't think
Minnesota's
that's a lot.
No, that's a lot. It could happen.
I mean, yeah. All right. So what else we got here? Let's take a peek. We have, I hate every time I pull off of this, it just resets the dates and it drives me insane. I've got to find some other way to look at this. Anywho. All right. So Falcons, Saints, right? That's implications for the Falcons. So if they win, they're in. Sorry. What else we got? Jaguars, Titans. I think the Jaguars are still trying to. Here we go. Are they still trying to? No, they're already in. Who else we got? We got Lions, Vikings, Jaguars, Titans. Oh, that's what I was looking for. Jaguars. Jaguars will clinch the AFC South if they win. Boy, there's just so much going on here. Browns.
There's a lot
But
happening.
it's so much more that we're not going to know until after this week. Like this weekend.
There's so much if, ands, or buts. But let's just chat. Do you think the Vikings-Lions game, who do you think is going to win that one? Because same thing, like the Lions are already in. Do they really? I mean,
yeah.
You know, that might be a bummer.
I just don't know that. Yeah, it's hard for like there's too many factors to predict.
Yeah. Jaguars, Titans. I think Jags should win that. Browns, Bengals. I would guess the Browns should win that. But again, all of this is contingent upon whether people decide to sit their starters or, you know, heavy rotation out. Seahawks, Cardinals. Eagles, Giants. That could be interesting, right?
Let's go Eagles. What? I mean, sorry, go Giants. Go Giants. Oh my God.
Who are you?
On the podcast right then.
Oh, goodness. Who said that? It was like a brain fart.
How dare you?
I think I was combining go lose Eagles. Like, I don't know what happened. Whew, shoot. It may be time to
start the year off like that.
Ladies.
Oh my gosh, it's blasphemy.
The
only thing
that's not what I meant.
So Philly could clinch if they win, clinch the NFC East title if they win. So I don't know. Eagles have not been looking great. I'm here for DeVito all day. Y'all know that. Let's see. Broncos, Raiders. Oh, we didn't even talk about the drama going on with the Broncos and Russell Wilson, and holy cow.
Why is he sitting? I also have not listened. I have not been able to follow up on this. Why is he sitting?
Oh my gosh. So I guess the organization went to him and asked him to change out or drop his forget the amount it was, 27 million, maybe somewhere around there. Injury clause or whatever that was in his contract. And they basically kind of said, if you don't do it, we're going to bench you. And, you know, Broncos were having a great ride at that time. They were doing very well. And then Sean Payton benches him because Russell Wilson doesn't change the contract. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Now, I was watching NFL Countdown. Alex Smith was talking about it, and he said that it's not unusual for a organization to go to a quarterback and try to renegotiate and do things like this. The problem is that the threat of benching was, you know, like that's not. I mean,
isn't cool, that's like bribery or not bribery?
Blackmail.
Blackmail. Thank you.
A little blackmail. So I think the Players Association is now involved, and there may be some legal action that's coming of this. If the last thing I checked on, not quite. I would have to.
There should be. That seems really shady.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and of course we all here on our podcast, we love Russell Wilson. You know, even when it's not been looking great. So we definitely hope that. And he's such a stand-up guy. Like even despite all that, he's kind of like, look, I'd still love to win games, and I'd love to do that here in Colorado and Denver with the Broncos. It's interesting. So we'll see how that shakes up. But it's kind of a dumpster fire there. And whereas I used to love Sean Payton, just mostly because of Drew Brees, I don't know that I'm not sure I'm a fan.
I am totally with you there, girl. Back then I was like, and now I'm like,
Yeah, he's had a history, right, of being a little shady on some things. So
But I didn't want to believe it the first shady, and then after things are shadier and shadier, it's like, well, maybe what you see with your own eyes is what it is.
well, and I thought too, like that movie came out and there was kind of some redemption. You thought, oh, maybe he like saw the ways of his, you know, I don't know, but obviously he is who he is, and maybe he's just not. His compass is not. His moral compass is maybe a little off or something. I'm not sure.
I maybe Deshaun Watson might be available next season.
Oh, gosh. Oh, I mean,
On that note,
alrighty.
sorry,
Cowboys
not that their compass is off sorry, I do not mean to imply that their compass is off in the same direction. It's totally different directions.
Yeah.
Different compasses. Different compasses.
Again, Beth, I'm gonna stop talking now. Like you learned. I think it's time for me to go dark.
Oh, all right. We also have Chiefs at Chargers. We have Rams at Niners. We have Cowboys at Commanders. Bears at Packers, which Packers are, they're vying for position.
Cowboys at Commanders. There is only one choice for the three of us, right?
There's only one right choice. Commanders.
Right.
Baby.
Always. Always.
Thank you.
And then we finally, as we've already spoken about earlier, Bills Dolphins. So another amazing week. The only thing that I'm really, really bummed about, guys, is that with all of this talk of playoffs, it only means that we've just got a couple of weeks left before football comes to an end. So let's just enjoy it. Let's continue to have fun. Last thing, guys, we have a winner in our fantasy football league, and it's not any of us.
Maybe next year. There's always next year.
I think
there's always next year.
Beth and I figured out our problems. One was injuries for my people, but two, we both have too much loyalty to our teams. So that was a problem. And Cheri, I don't know that we identified your issue.
Well, mine is what tends to happen to me. I come out really strong, and then I came out really, really strong, and then like just some drop-offs here and there, and some like shoulda, woulda, couldas. Fantasy football, man, is a game of like, it's a lot of skill, it's a lot of luck, it's a lot of chance. Outside of our league, my husband just won his fantasy football league, so I'm happy about that.
Damn. That's tough.
So who won? Who won?
We haven't. Nikki won. My girlfriend Nikki, who is a longtime Steelers fan. She's also a big FSU fan. She went to FSU as well. So congrats to my girl Nikki. Whoop, whoop. So
yeah, and you know what we need to do? I haven't even touched on fantasy football, but we need to make an announcement. We need to ask Nikki her list of favorite things, but hearing Steelers and Florida State seems like that's pretty easy for all of us, right?
And I don't mind buying it, right? Like, it's not a Cowboys fan. I don't have to buy stuff.
Right.
If it was my daughter, it would have been Cowboys. Just FYI. So, phew.
All right. Well, that wraps up another awesome day with your girls and girlfriends in football. And so go ahead and join us again next Wednesday as we talk all things playoff, as the season will be officially over. The regular season will be officially over, and we will be full throttle into the playoff season. So, ladies, Happy New Year. It's awesome. Been great. Happy New Year and happy football. Take care.
Happy New Year.